It's quite grainy. I think so.
This later.
Good day. Maybe, yeah, I think whatever lights are on the back of this cabinet. Hello, everybody. Whatever light is on here needs to go off because it's washing out the, possibly, yeah. Hello. Just a little live stream chat and hello. I'll just type in here. I hope I've made this live. So Michelle will log on. Hi, Cynthia. Nothing special today, except for my glasses are reflecting off that screen. Hi, native African queen. St. Petersburg, Florida. Nice. Now, I guess I should look up here. I don't think I've ever gone live on my MacBook before and used the regular MacBook camera. So what's the picture like? Byron, how are you, buddy? What time is it where you are, Byron? You know, today it's Melbourne Cup Day. Just tell me if it's good or not.
It's good.
Okay. Hey, Jan. Michelle's here as well, yes. Oh, how nice. Everyone, all the regulars are popping in. Kelly. Wow. 6:21 Wisconsin. Byron. Oh, that's not too bad. It's like 6:21 in the evening, I'm guessing, or is it in the morning? Probably in the morning, isn't it, with Byron?
Yeah, evening.
Oh, well, that's a respectable time. So I'm just coming online to say hello. It's Melbourne Cup Day. For those of you that don't know, that's a big event in Melbourne. And the weather, you wouldn't believe it. It's absolutely hammering. It's like a tropical storm out there at the moment. The rain, you know, when the rain's coming down so heavily that the roads are actually running with water. It's like a river out there. So, bit of a shame. Oh, good morning then, Kelly. It's late for you. Or early for you, whichever way you look at it. Oops. Go down like that. See my coffee. So it's such an awful day weather-wise. I just thought I'd come online and say hello to you all. Or if any of you are out there, I'd come and say hello. Hi, Stella. So let's have a look who's here. So Stella's saying hi. Luis Moore from Argentina is saying hello. Sorry if I keep looking down there. I'm not cooking. I'm not doing anything particular today. Just having a chat, a little catch up. We're out of the bush now. We're actually back in Melbourne for a short time. I'm trying to catch up on all my edits. I think we're getting close to finishing. There's some quite interesting stuff I'll put up in the next few days. And oh yeah, hit that thumbs up. Somebody's hit the thumbs up. I just saw the #1 going up there. So it's kind of strange you doing this on the laptop. I'm not used to doing it. So I've got to keep looking down here. So Lady G, me. Maria Jose Hernandez. So I'll ask Michelle to keep an eye if I miss the hellos and things, because I guess the camera's up here and all the speaking's down there. Look, so we're catching up. We're catching up with our edits. We've got a short stop here. I'm actually staying at a friend's at the moment. We're looking after their beautiful little dogs. These cute little Chihuahua pups. I mean, they are so gorgeous. I've really become fond of Chihuahuas. I never really had a lot to do with them. Something's stopping that the back here from just going back a little bit further. I just want to lay you back a bit further from me. So these cute little Chihuahuas, I'll get one in a moment. And Sharon, how are you? Oh, lovely to see you, Sharon. Haven't spoken for a long time. So we've got these beautiful little Chihuahuas. Actually, I'll show you my favorite little Chihuahua. Just wait there. Look at this guy. How gorgeous is he? Hey, Bean, say hello to everybody. I mean, he is so cute. He looks like a little Doberman. Look at that. It's like almost a perfectly formed. Sorry, mate. Say hello. Hey. So he's gorgeous, and he's tiny. It's a little apple head Chihuahua, short head. His name is Beanbag, and he's my favourite. He's so cute. I'll stand him up there for the moment. He's on the countertop. Yeah, he's beautiful. There's another little girl here that's got the long-haired Chihuahua, more traditional style with the long head, and she's really cute. So I'm really enjoying their company. It's nice to be around some little pets for a while. So this is Beanbag. And he's got lovely symmetry. I just love the markings on him. Look at him. So we're going to be here for a week or two. We're just catching up with some edits, and then we've got a little more traveling to do. We're also trying to get hold of some new backpacks and things for some of the trips we've got planned for next year. We've been looking, I'll be putting a video up about that shortly. Has everyone been enjoying the vlogs? I mean, are you enjoying the trips? It's much harder to
Start touching the buttons.
start messing with the thing. Say goodbye, Bean. Say goodbye. I'm going to pop him down. Because I want to do a lot more travel vlogs involved with food and travel, because we're traveling so much now. It's harder to get into a kitchen and do the cooking that we've traditionally done. So we're hoping to do a lot more travel. We've got some really great places planned for next year. I won't say too much about them. We are actually planning to go to Tasmania, which I wanted to go to Tasmania for years. It's a little island off the bottom of the most southerly point of Australia, for those of you that don't know it, and it's gorgeous. So we'll hopefully go over there and do a bit of filming, but I'm going to try and do a lot more filming than we've done in the past. So I hope it doesn't bore you, those of you that are just like to see the cooking videos. Hopefully it's all good. And I don't know what the connection's like. Is it fairly steady? Now Maria
says that they have a Chihuahua. Beautiful. I have a Chihuahua. Want to do the translation?
Michelle's done the translation, Maria, for me. So you have a Chihuahua too. They're really cute. Maria, you want to see the long haired? I'll take Tilly. So this is Tilly. She has the longest tongue, and there are two little girls in this house actually. This is Tilly, and there's another one called Peaches. She's a little less no, she's really cute, but she gets a bit frightened of me. She doesn't know me that well yet, and she's a little bit of an older girl. But Tilly, she's very affectionate. So Lady G, you say it keeps cutting out. Is anyone else getting cutouts? Hey Darren, Cape Town, good connection, thank you. It might be you, Lady G, I think, because I've actually, the internet here in Melbourne, where I am, isn't that great, so I've tethered to the phone, and the phone connection should be pretty good. So yes, this one is Tilly. She is going to let you down. She would sit with me all day. Hey Joshua. Have I missed any hellos? Possibly. Dark Master's so cute. Sorry, lots and lots of comments. So the idea, let me just get some water. The idea is next year to do a lot more travel vlogs for you. We've got some pretty exciting places to go become more apparent. So I'm hoping we'll be able to share some more stuff with you. It might mean that we do slightly less cooking videos, just, you know, specifically cooking videos. But it's been quite hard this year because although we've tried to, every time we get stopped anywhere, we try to film lots of cooking videos. So it means that we don't get much else done on stock. So what I thought I might try and do next year is just get out and film stuff and share with you what's around us and put it up as quickly as possible, rather than when we arrive in a place like when we arrived in Perth, for example, we spent almost the whole time filming videos and editing, which was just meant we didn't get out as much as I'd like to have done. So changing the format up a little bit. Now I need the water, Darren. It's dry in Melbourne. You know, we came down the centre of Australia right the way through Alice Springs, and although the weather there was really hot and we were drinking maybe 4 of these every single day, the humidity was higher. When you get down to Melbourne, although it's raining cats and dogs at the moment, the humidity is a lot less, so your lips get really dry, and you need to drink. You need to remember to drink more. Yeah, I did actually say on Facebook, if those of you that aren't following me on Facebook, oh, by the way, there's 22, 23 of you in at the moment, so hit that thumbs up button. Let's get loads of thumbs up. I'm not sure why. It just seems like a relevant thing to do. So I did say on Facebook, where would you like me to go, Michelle and I to go? Because we haven't set in concrete next year exactly where we're going to be traveling to. And we want to try and do some newer places maybe we haven't been before, or places where I haven't taken you, the viewers, before. So yeah, Jan, this water bottle, I bought this a long time ago. It's by a company called Contigo, I think, and you sort of pull the trigger on the back here to release the water, so it won't leak out until you pull the trigger, which is kind of cool. Michelle, am I missing some?
Lewis Moore says, come here, the best meat in the universe. He's in Argentina.
Oh, now Argentina, the beef in Argentina is fantastic. I really want to come to Argentina. I think somebody on Facebook suggested Argentina. I'm a little blurry in Michigan. Sharon, I forgot you were up in Michigan. We were in Michigan about 18 months ago. In Holland, Michigan, we went to visit my buddy Dave and his wife Shirley, and man, we had such a good time. What a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. Sweden, actually, all the Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, I should include. We'd love to go there. I'm not sure what time of year I'd go, and I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. Mainly, I'm fascinated to travel to places where the food is going to sort of like open up our mind to foods. And the Scandinavian food, I used to have Scandinavian food many years ago on a fairly regular basis with some friends of mine, and I miss a lot of it. You know, the roll mops and all the sort of pickled herrings, and it's just fantastic food, and the beautiful breads that you have in Sweden and Denmark and Norway. I mean, there's just so much to go there for. Would love to do that. I'd love to go to Argentina and have the beef and the barbecue and the meat sort of. I think Argentina is pretty famous for its beef. Possibly for other cattle too, but I think for my mind, it's all about the quality of the beef.
So Paul Haddon says, I'm moving from Florida to Da Nang this summer. Would you be willing to come there?
Da Nang, Vietnam. We did Vietnam we did Hanoi in Vietnam last year, and it's fantastic. It's just such a good experience. So it's a good choice. Da Nang, are you going there just to sort of live for a short time? Are you going there on holiday? Da Nang is near Halong Bay, I think, isn't it? I think that's sort of that area. So it's sort of mid-central north.
Maria says, welcome to Veracruz, Mexico.
Mexico, we were in, I think it was about 2.5 years ago now. It seems a lot less. Hi, Petri. Hi, Bista Trill from Louisiana. And that's
Monica's
another.
Also from Louisiana.
Oh, Monica's from Louisiana as well.
Just a few up, Monica.
Okay.
Joshua 2345 said, may I suggest Ecuador or Chile and go along the coast? Really, really good seafood. Yeah,
I think South America, that's something we desperately want to do. I don't know. I don't know when we'll be able to do it, but we will do it. I think we've got to try and do next year a slightly different format on the channel. So I know that if you look at the vlogs at the moment, they get a lot less views than if I do cooking channels. And I think when we first started traveling some years ago, we noticed that straight off, didn't we, Michelle, when we were going into Vietnam, that people who followed us for the cooking didn't particularly like the vlogging. And I think it put us off a little bit. We maybe got a little disconcerted by it and slowed down somewhat on the vlogging. But you know, life is too short, I think, to worry yourself about whether or not people want to see. I mean, the channel's really about us, what we do, I suppose. So I think we'll just try to do it, and so be it. If it takes a dive in views, maybe we can bring the ones of you that enjoy the travel and the food that we see as we travel, and the people and the cultures that we see as we travel. For those of you that enjoy that, you'll come along with us, and those that don't, they won't. But there's a lot of channels out there if you just want to see cooking recipes, and we'll always still be doing the cooking, but it will be much more, I think, in key with the experiences we get as we travel around the world. And I think we learned this time from Perth that we just spent too much time in the kitchen filming, and it wasn't enough. Didn't give us the opportunity to share back with some of the days we went out. We just didn't feel like filming. You don't want to film every single day you go out, and then when you're back at a kitchen, you're just filming. So
Paul served in the American Army, is moving to Vietnam permanently.
Oh yeah,
22 years. Lewis says
22 years.
Yes.
Look, Vietnam is fantastic. It's a beautiful part of the world. The food is great. The people are wonderful. They have a different, slightly cultural difference to. Let me just adjust the lighting here. Find it eventually. So they have to other parts of Southeast Asia. They're different. Some people say that the Vietnamese are less friendly, but actually I think it's like a lot of places in the world. They take a little longer to get to know, but when you get to know them, they're super friendly people.
So Paul says moving there due to the cost of living and the people.
The people, yeah, it's all about the people. It's all about the food, the experiences as well. Kelly, we love you as well on the channel, so thank you. And look, as I was saying, Kelly, what do you think? Kelly, you've been watching for a long time the channel. Are you happy that we do a lot more travel videos and maybe a little bit less in the kitchen stuff? Because I think that's the way things are going to go. And I mean, maybe a lot more travel content as well. I hope you'll enjoy it.
Nigel says, hi Steve, new subscriber from recommendation from Steve at Steve's Cooking.
You must have saw me drop into Steve's live chat the other day. My buddy Steve from Atlanta, Georgia, I think he is. Steve. Yes, welcome to the channel, mate. Steve and I, we've known each other for a little while. It's always that sort of kind of strange thing. Steve's cooking, I'm Steve's kitchen, and we both are actually originally sort of Yorkshire lads at heart. Yorkshire. I suppose we both lived and travelled abroad so much we can hardly really put that claim down.
Jan said, do the dogs travel with you?
Jan, no, they don't. These are our friends' dogs. And when we come to Melbourne, we get to see them. We saw them. You might have seen them last year. We were here last year. You might have seen these little pups last year. And it's just nice. We actually have a few friends around this area, some places where we can actually sort of stop. And if anyone's going away, we offer to house sit and look after the pups. It means that we can catch up with some things. This week we've been down into Melbourne City. We were looking at some new backpacks, and I filmed some of it, so I'll put up a video shortly. I just want to get to the end of the Outback series that we're filming at the moment, and then I'll put up this new video. We've also done a few reviews of some new things. I've got a new phone because it's been many years. Actually, the last time I bought a new phone was back before we started traveling over 4 years ago. Hey, James, how are you, mate? It's James in from Fun Food, another good buddy of mine from YouTube. And also we've met James in Maryland. You're a Mancunian. People used to say, hey, can you tell me the way to Oldham? Well, we got Kelly in, who's a Jamaican. She's the way when you go back to the UK, if you ever get into the UK and you're an English speaker anyway, you can notice the difference in the languages as you go from the north to the south, from the east to the west, all the different sort of like dialects and languages. It's fascinating. I've got quite a good ear usually to pick up those sort of, whether or not you're from the south or the north. Nigel from North Wales. If you're from North Wales, my came from North Wales. Probably about my great grandparents came from the North Wales. So get the town now off the top of my head. I do know it. I've been there. So we have sort of a little bit of Welsh history in the family, a little bit of Scottish history from Michelle's side of the family, English, Irish in there, I think, as well. Also a little bit of everything. So we've got plans in the new year. Actually, we've still got some traveling to do here in Australia. We're going up to Sydney. I'll be able to show you around Sydney a little bit later in the year, which is going to be heaps of fun if you haven't been to Sydney before. This is what I mean. We're actually just going to get out, I think, on film. We won't be doing, we'll do food recipes when and if the mood and the opportunity lets us, but I'd rather just take you out and show you it. So there's so much to see in Sydney. I think we've just got to get out there and show you.
Amy says, hi, Elisa.
Hey, Amy. Lovely to have you in, Amy. Amy's another regular from a long time back. Well, that's the idea, Cynthia. We always plan to travel, go to places like when we went to Mexico and then come back and teach about Mexican food. But what I think we'd like to do is get it a little more fluid. So if we see something about the food in the countries we're in, sorry about this light in the background. It keeps sort of flickering on and off. Not flickering on and off, but it keeps catching bright and off.
Yeah.
Is it that one there? It is that one there. That's too dark though, isn't it? We put this, get a bit of daylight from this one. Yeah. I'll get a bit more natural daylight in. It's absolutely bucketing it down outside. I do feel sorry for those that have gone to to the Melbourne Cup today because it's one of those big events where everyone dresses up. Oh, Steve. Thank you, mate. There's a super chat from Steve in Scotland. Now, somebody also said to me, actually, several people said to us about Scotland, Steve, and Stephen, sorry. And that's nice. So that's a bit more natural daylight. So I really want to go to Scotland. And I have been to Scotland briefly in the past, but when I was a child, actually, I was offered to go and stay with a friend in Scotland, and it didn't come off, and I always kind of regretted it. And now I've got so many good Scots friends that I've met all over the world, and we're always talking about the food, and every now and again I go to an event where we have sort of traditional Scottish food, you know, neeps and haggis, and can't think of what my buddy Mark used to make. So we just want to get up there. What are those smoked fish that they sell on the quayside in Scotland? Anyway, there's just so much to see. And I think if we went up there, it would be great to sort of maybe meet up with some people that know the Scottish culture, the Scottish food, and some history about Scottish food, and just sort of film it. So that'll happen. It may not be next year. It may be the year after, but we'll see.
So the Hail T Rocker says, hey.
Amy, I'm in. Oh, who said hey?
The Hail T Rocker and Suspicious Panda. Let's say hello.
Auspicious Panda and Rahul. I can't see them on the comment list.
Two below them.
Rahil T Rocker. Yes. Hi. How are you? I'm in Melbourne, Amy. And it's bucketing down, isn't it? Just about 10 minutes ago, it was the street out here was flowing water like a river. Can you imagine being all dressed up with your hat and dressed to the nines off to the Melbourne Cup today? A bit of a disappointment. Thanks, Darren. We had the blinds down because there's sometimes I forget. I just forgot to open it. Actually, it's just better light. I was going to say some nonsense about why the blind was down, just I forgot to open it. This was just an impromptu. I said to Michelle, I said, we're not doing that much today. We're having a bit of a down day, and not a down day, I mean, not working day. And the weather's atrocious, so we normally go out for a nice long walk if we can. So we probably won't just yet because I haven't got any umbrellas or wet weather gear. We'll see if it breaks. Amy, I'm over on a side of Melbourne that I don't often get to. It's on the west side towards Footscray sort of area, a little bit further, Yarraville, Williamstown, that sort of area. Beautiful, really nice part of Melbourne. It's not where I'm originally from in Melbourne, but it's where our friends are. Hey, Johnny, Brazil, another place we haven't been yet, want to go to. So as I say, we're kind of taking this next week or so to try and catch up and get some stuff. I've got myself the phone. I've needed a new phone. The old phone of mine now is nearly 5 years old, and it was getting a bit cranky. I've been working out what we're going to be filming the next episodes on because having some problems with the camera. Unfortunately, when you travel in the outback and all that sand is getting into everything, you do start getting issues with some of your gear. So I'm looking for a solution that will keep it simpler and lighter. We're going to be doing a trip up to Sydney around about sort of December time. I want to film a lot of stuff up there, and I'm hoping we can just do it on the fly. And I'll do some of these sort of live broadcasts as well. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, you just have to buy my own plane ticket. Thank you, buddy. Well, that would be, I mean, I do actually have a sister in Cambodia. So we do, it's one of the reasons we quite often end up going over to Southeast Asia because we have family over there. She also has a place, well, or we have friends and family that have a place in Malaysia also. So you know, this is part of some of my favorite parts of the world. Rahel, is it Rahel? I'm not sure if I've pronounced it correctly. Rahel T. Rocker, also been a viewer for a long time. Liverpool, Nova Scotia, Canada. Is that a suggestion of where to go to, or where you are? When you say you made the spetzel, you like the bread pretzels? I love those. See, this is another country that I keep saying I want to go back to. The problem, we have so many countries we want to go back to, but I want to go back to Germany and spend some time in Germany, maybe 2 or 3 months, and go through some of my old favourite German food recipes.
Paul says, I'll be opening a charcuterie shop for my son. He's a chef, and I'm a disabled American veteran. I was having cancer.
Okay, Rahela. So Rahela, thank you.
So Rahela is from Liverpool, Nova Scotia, Canada, because it's saying, come here, lots of fresh seafoods.
Now, Paul, you're saying about opening a charcuterie shop. That'll be interesting. That's kind of my specialty area of food. Charcuterie is something we used to teach and make when we were living in France. So we used to actually, and when we've traveled throughout Europe as well, we've studied and kept our own pigs and made all sorts of sort of charcuterie. So it's an area that I'm fascinated with, but it's also interesting because in Vietnam there's a lot of very good charcuterie. They have good pate as well, and they have a very good bread because there's quite a strong French influence in Vietnam, as you know anyway.
So Stephen says, I'm from Germany, just currently studying in Scotland, just from Hanover, Germany.
Oh, do love Germany. Is that James is saying to go to Germany? I think James has got a bit of a soft spot for Germany as well. We should go there together one day, James. We should sort of meet up in Germany. I mean, Germany at Christmas time. I know you've been there at Christmas before, James. I think it would be really nice. I tend to always think if I'm going to Germany, I'll end up in the southern sort of Bavarian states and what have you. But that's why I'd like to spend maybe 3 months in Germany, so we can actually not only just tour some of my favourite parts, which are the southern states, the Bavarian Schwarzwald, but also get up further into the northern parts and western parts of Germany, or eastern parts of Germany, should I say. No, we never got back to Berlin. I like to go and see, some of those sort of traditional or the older capital, Bonn, the sort of the West German, the original capital. I think as Berlin reverted back to being the capital of Germany, it did, yes.
So Rahela says, I love that bread you made without yeast. I favour Indian foods and curries.
Well, Rahela, that's just the flat leaven bread. A lot of people come on and look at that. You'll see, and they'll say, "Oh, it's a chapati. It's a what's the Mexican tortillas?" I mean, it's a flat leaven bread. It's so easy to make and so delicious. You're right. That's right, Stephen. Bonn used to be the capital, or at least it was the capital during the period we had the divided East and West Germany.
So most tourists sadly just go to the southern part, which is beautiful and interesting. Leipzig.
Or Leipzig, yeah. There's a reason I think people do go to the southern part. I think it's because of the mountainous regions and the sort of Bavarian, the connection with the sort of Austrian, German scenery. It's very pretty, very beautiful down there. So you can kind of understand. Also, a lot of people go over there for Oktoberfest. Of course, they're going down to Munich or München. And it is beautiful. You're right, the northern and central areas. I spent a lot of time in Munsterland, which is very flat, closer to the sort of similar to the Dutch landscape. So it's a very sort of flat land, beautiful for cycling.
Darren says, barmaids in Germany making over 6 beer jugs in each hand.
Yeah, they should do as well. Now, Lady G, you say you love Indian food. I do too. India's high on the list of places that we want to go, and that may even happen next year, depending on a few factors. I would love to spend some time. Again, it would be really a case of trying to get there for at least a month, 2 months, maybe even 3. And I'll take you all along with us and we'll have some fun. There's another, I can't really talk too much about next year because we haven't sort of ironed out the wrinkles in the travel plans and things. Have I had any hauntings in Australia? I'm not sure what that means, Kelly.
Ghosts.
No, there are no ghosts in Australia. Country's way too alive for ghosts, but we don't. I'm sure there are stories of hauntings in Australia as there are in all places of the world. It's a very random question, Kelly. But no, not that I'm aware of. Steve's asking if we would like to open, but do you ever want to open a restaurant? No, not even in the slightest, Stephen. I've done a lot of businesses in the past. I've been very active in the past, and I've not really any, running restaurants is super hard work. And we're not at the stage in life where we particularly want that sort of headache. I much prefer traveling and enjoying and meeting people. And I mean, I know a lot of YouTube chefs have this sort of aspiration to open their own restaurants. Quite often it's because they're still young enough not to fully understand just how much hard work's involved in that sort of thing and how thankless it can be. I mean, nothing really worse than running a restaurant where you're paying everybody, like, you're responsible for paying all the salaries and you're having to work sort of 7 days a week. It can be quite hard. So no, I have no real interest in getting involved in restaurants.
Lady G says, well, I'd love to see you in India, so that would be a lot. Oh, it's so hot in India.
It's hot and cold in India. They have such a sort of diverse climate, from the north to the south to the mountains. But yes, it is hot. And India is somewhere that we actually have. We did live in Sri Lanka for some time, so I do have some experience traveling into India, and we just want to go back. And spend some time there. It's always tricky with visas in India. There's, we're not really happy just to go there for a week. We want to go there for months at a time. So if we were to do that, we have to organise the visas. But I'm certain that India will happen.
So Lady says, Steve, you've picked up an Australian accent.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, you never lose. A lot of friends I have in Australia have from different parts of the world, have lived here for many years. You never really lose your accents from where you come from, not once you get to a certain age anyway. I'm sure my kids have Australian accents. I can't hear it. I can't hear my own accent, to be honest. But you never really lose the accents of your birthplaces, I think. I met a lad in Perth who'd lived here for nearly 27, nearly 30 years, I think, from Scotland, and he still had a really broad Scottish accent. I mean, very broad Glaswegian accent. So, and he'd lived here for 30 years. So there was no way he was going to get sort of get away with pretending he was just from Australia. And obviously he spoke some of the, you know, we say the Australian words, speaking the Australian way. We should do a video about that one day, Australian talk. And, you know, we say in the arvo for afternoon, ARVO, so in the arvo. But when he comes with a deep Scottish accent, no, can't even do a Scottish accent. Right, laddie. Right, laddie. In the arvo. And he was like really deep. Arvo. Scottish. And a servo. So we say servo for service station. So everything in Australia gets condensed down. We tend to keep any words that are long, like service station becomes a servo, afternoon becomes arvo. Stephen, my name is Stephen. Traditionally, my family still call me Stephen, but it always gets shortened to Steve. Hence, it's Steve's Kitchen. You couldn't get away with it. Mind you, if your name's really short, maybe you actually christened Bill. In Australia, 100% going to call you Billy. They're going to actually extend the name. Anything else out there, Michelle? I wonder. Darren, I've met up with quite a few YouTube people over the time, not always chefs, and I have good relationships with quite a few of them, but don't get that many opportunities. I've met with James. I often talk with Steve from Steve's Cooking, but we don't often get that many opportunities. When I was over in Perth, I thought I might get to meet some people, but there didn't seem to be too many. Oh, I did have a chat with Nico from Nico's Kitchen, but we were just at different ends of a schedule, never really got together, which is a shame. We should have maybe met. But, you know, there's this sort of old thing they say about, you know, don't meet your heroes. I think that's possibly true. Sometimes don't go and sort of rush to meet people, because sometimes it's nicer just to know each other from a distance.
In Sydney, maybe?
I think we will. I think we'll definitely try and meet up with some buddies in Sydney. There's a lot more people actually in yeah, Kelly, I'm not a big believer in spiritual ghosty sort of things. Probably too long in the tooth, but it's interesting.
Cynthia said short for Cindy in Australia.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Synth. To be honest, Cynthia. All right, Synth. Paul might become Paulie. Kelly would definitely become Kel. That's for Making Girl 87. She would definitely be a Kel if she was in Australia. And let's have a little look at some names here. Raheli would be probably Ra. Or Darren would definitely be Dazza. Dar maybe, but Dazza I would imagine. Sorry guys, I'm gonna Australianize your names for you. Stephen, you definitely become a Steve. Paul. A lot of mates of mine in Australia called Paul become Paulie. It's not uncommon, but Paul can still be, because it's single syllable, so it's okay there. You can type your name if you would like me to Australianize your name.
Stephen says the age-old question: does pineapple belong on pizza? Yes.
Who said yes?
Me.
Michelle says yes, pineapple belongs on pizza. No, I say. You know, it's hard to say. I'm not a staunch traditionalist, because I don't think anything should have rules. I don't think anything should have rules at all. But I tend to like pizzas fairly thin crust and minimalist. I love to have hearts of artichoke, and I like seafood pizzas. But I've had some really nice pizzas where they've had all sorts of fruit on them. So, you know, and Michelle loves pineapple on a pizza. So there you go. Go figure.
Cynthia says, my son is Dara. Is Cynthia in Australia then?
Well, Dara or Daz would definitely be a shortened version.
So Darren said, I used to be a washing powder, my mum tells me.
Yeah, you would be. Daz is a brand of washing powder, I think, in the UK. I don't know if I don't think we have that in Australia.
The Petri, what would Petri be?
Oh, pet.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd be pet. You might be petty, but you'd probably be pet. All right there, pet. It sounds a little bit northern.
Rahela said, Rahela means sheep. What does all your names mean?
It means what?
Sheep.
Sheep. Rahela means sheep in what language?
And Cynthia's in California.
Synth is in California.
It says they sell frozen chocolate pizza in Germany.
Well, look, I've had chocolate pizza. It's okay. It's not my favourite. It messes a little bit with your head. I think there are a lot better ways to have chocolate than on a pizza, even though I've made it myself in the past. I'm really when we were in Sicily last year, the year before now actually, it's we spent 5 months in Sicily and traveling through Italy, and some of the pizzas there were so delicious. They were very simple, and I think that's hard to beat, really. A good wood-fired oven, true Italian pizza. Now, one of the things that we had in Western Sicily, I think it was, in one of the towns we went to, one of the guys was adding oatmeal into his pizza crust, and that was really quite nice.
So Milan's in, so I hesitate to interject a bit off-topic stuff. Have you ever met a guy named John Plant in Farmers?
I haven't. Milan, how are you, mate? John Plant. I haven't, and why would I have done? I'm trying to think if I've met or know of him. Oh, he's the lad that's doing that. No, I know who you're talking about, Milan. Yeah, John started a channel not that long ago, actually, and he does all this sort of like primitive lifestyles. Fantastic, really, really interesting to watch. I think there's no sound in it, so I think he doesn't particularly talk in his videos, and it's gone super well for him, where he just films stuff making an old mud hut, making things out of wood, and yeah, I do. I haven't met him. I haven't been up to that part of Queensland, Milan. So we used to live up there, but it would be fun. I don't know if he's super social or not. I don't know whether he lives like that the whole time. But very, very good channel.
So Rahela said, it means sheep in Hebrew. I'm Italian though.
Okay.
Cynthia's talking about chocolate crisps, potato chips. They're quite nice. I like those. Yeah,
the chocolate covered potato chips, or crisps as we call them as well. Nice because they got the salty. I like them kind of half chocolate, half natural. Primitive Technology. That's the guy, Milan. Very interesting channel. Very fascinating, and you know, dear to my heart. Kind of wish I'd done something like that ourselves at one time. We used to have our own sort of farm, and we used to keep things very basic. I used to, my French neighbours used to think I was crazy, Milan, because I used to have a beautiful scythe that came from Austria, an old Austrian scythe, and I used to go out into the fields that we had. We had an acre of grassland out the front, and I would cut the grass for straw for the animals with the scythe, and I used to have a nice whetstone that I used to sharpen the scythe with, and it's beautiful. It's but these were the days before YouTube, so I would have probably shared all that stuff. But very fascinating to watch. A very good channel, primitive technology. Don't know the guy, Milan, but I can see why you find his channel fascinating. I agree. I have watched a little bit. I don't get a lot of chance to watch YouTube anymore, so but I have come across this chat.
Charlotte says, have to go now. Love seeing, hearing you guys. Next time you're in Michigan, I hope to be living in Peru National Forest. Do you guys want to come and live with the bears for a while? Bye.
Bye, Sharon. She's possibly gone already.
The Making Girl says, would you like to go to Jamaica? Some parts of my family are from there.
Oh, I'd love to. I would love to, Kelly. That would be fun.
Wendy Johnson says, hi, Steve and Michelle.
Hi, Wendy. Wendy's in.
And J. Mary Lestone says, shalom, shalom, Stephen, to you and yours.
Shalom, J. Mary, to you and yours too. So, yes, I mean, it's amazing. Some of these channels nowadays, it's just taking some of these ideas that people are into and running with it. I mean, I suspect when I was younger, Milan, and we had a virtually fully self-sufficient farm in the west of France. We did a lot of crazy things that were considered to be, even in that day, they were old-fashioned. We were pretty much off the grid to a degree. So it would have been just to film it and put it up. I think people would have been fascinated. I don't know if we'd ever go and live that way again. I certainly don't discount it because we enjoyed it so much. We came back to the city basically for our kids to let them finish their universities and get their education. But Michelle and I still have the sort of travel bug in us.
Stephen says, do you have a favourite YouTuber you watch?
Who says?
Stephen Harrison.
No, not particularly. I like watching travel channels, but I don't get a huge amount of time for watching YouTube. I like to occasionally catch up with friends' channels if I can. So we've got James there that was in earlier with Fun Food, and I've got Scott, a buddy in American in Bangkok, a friend of mine over there that we quite often try to catch up with. But there's quite a few travel channels as well that I watch if I'm researching an area. I want to see what things are going on. Gabriel Traveller is a sort of friend of ours through YouTube, and I keep up to date with his stuff.
Amy, sorry,
No.
Amy says, Steve, you should visit night market at Queen Victoria Market on Wednesday.
Are you there then, Amy? We should. There's actually, again, we've arrived here in Melbourne and all we're doing is editing, and it's driving me around the bend because, sorry, I shouldn't say it's driving me around the bend, but editing takes up a great deal of my time. I wish somebody could do it for me. But we spend a lot of time editing here now. When we get to a base where we can sit down, get steady electricity and steady connections. So I think what we're planning to do towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, is to change up the format and keep things a little more simple, share with you a lot more of our travels, and get the videos up a lot quicker. But that might involve a lot more planning.
Stephen says, good night, Steve. Got classes tomorrow. I'll just come across your channel then.
Good night, Steve. Mm-hmm. Oh, and thanks for the super chat, Steve. Michelle's reminded me you super chatted earlier on. Is that the Stephen Harrison?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, mate. Good night. Take care. Auf Heidenu. Ben ich nicht verloren. Whatever. Oh, yeah. We must.
Lady G says, Steve, you don't have to answer this question, but do you drive?
I drive. I've just finished driving 20,000 kilometers. Is that Lady G?
Yes.
So yes, we've just done. You've possibly not been watching the series where we're driving around Australia. We've just literally come off the road of driving nearly 22,000. I'm pretty tired of driving. Probably won't do won't do a lot of driving in the next few weeks. Try to do as little as possible. Actually, I quite like just to get out and walk.
Cynthia says, it'd be fun to see you two try a tiny house for a while.
Do you know, I know there's a great sort of trend towards these tiny houses, but I'm probably not likely to go rushing into a tiny house anytime soon. I like a bit of space, but I do think they're cute. I mean, I've watched quite a few of those tiny house builds, and they're fantastic. And I know everybody has got this sort of desire to sort of downscale their lives, you know, to simplify. Downsizing, downscaling, simplifying their lives. And I think it's a great thing. It's also possibly a needs must as the cost of living has got so high in some countries, particularly here in Australia. I'm surprised people aren't downscaling a lot more because it is so expensive. But I don't think we'll be rushing into a tiny house. I wouldn't mind doing a camper van, maybe sort of like an old combi van and traveling around Europe or the US.
Simply so you can rent them for a week or two.
Yeah, if I had to rent something for a week or two, Cynthia, I'd probably want to get something a bit bigger because, you know, I don't need that. I'm not at the stage. I've just spent 2 months in this tiny tent. You don't get much smaller than that, really. So I've just spent 2 months in a tiny tent all around sort of northern and central Australia.
So, Kelly said, I've tried chocolate pizza. It's like a doughy pancake.
Yes, chocolate pizza is something that should be tried occasionally, but not too often. It's delicious, but to be honest, if I was to have the choice between a chocolate pizza and a good Danish pastry, maybe something, or even a chocolate croissant, I'd probably go for one of those because you're going to get I think the pastries are so much nicer. They sort of combine the buttery sort of short flaky pastry that you have in a croissant with a little bit of chocolate in it is probably nicer than a pizza base, which is sort of like that glutinous stretch, and it's not ideal. I prefer actually my Blumenbrot, the star-shaped Nutella bread that I made, which at least then is sort of enriched with butter and the likes.
So, Petri says, have you been to Japan?
No, we haven't been to Japan, and it's really high up on the list of places that I want to go. Again, it's a lot to do with the food, and
Jane Mary says, Michelle, do you ever cook for Steve? Maybe on his birthday, give him breakfast in bed? No. I often cook, Jane Mary, I'll have you know.
Never cooks. She never cooks. Yeah, no, we both. I mean, Michelle is a chef, so she actually is very skilled in the kitchen. But I think I cook more than you do.
You probably do now. When the kids were small, I always.
When the children were younger, Michelle cooked a great deal of the time, as you can imagine.
And Nigel says, "What is your yellow car? It's really cool. Is it 4x4?"
Nigel, no, it's not 4x4. Actually, it was probably one of the things that we did wrong. I think on this trip around Australia was not to go 4x4. It's a Jeep. It's actually a 2-wheel drive, but it's still handled itself pretty well, even on the beaches and on the rough terrain that we did take it onto. I did get bogged down. You might have seen that in the last video, but the sand was really deep, and it was less to do with traction. It was to do with the depth. A lot of cars had gone through this piece of sand on the leading down to the beach, and quite a few of them had turned it over. So it wasn't really so much that I couldn't get across the sand, but I didn't have the clearance. So it almost wouldn't have made a difference if I'd been 4-wheel drive, because I basically grounded the car on sand. And yeah, it was a bit of fun. I mean, we would never have driven into that sort of environment had we not been with a friend at the time who said, "Oh well, look, you know, if you get stuck, we'll just pull you out."
He kept saying he would pull us out.
Yeah, because he had lots of clearance on his car, so and very good all-wheel drive, so he could he was going to get us out of anything. So we thought, oh well, to hell with it. We go on to anything. We'll go onto the beach. We'll go onto the dunes. We go anywhere. But of course, we hadn't anticipated the fact that the clearance was not enough. With all the weight that we had, the extra weight we had in the car and the trailer on the back. So yeah.
Did you say it was a Jeep?
It's a Jeep. It's a Jeep Renegade. It's a fun car, lovely little car. And one of the reasons it's one of the reasons I'm back in Melbourne, because I've got a service, got to get it in to have a service. It's going to cost an arm and a leg. But you know, like the reality of life, everything needs servicing, and I couldn't find a legitimate Jeep dealership in the sort of remote parts of Australia who could have done the service. So we thought, well, we'll come down to Melbourne, visit some of the family down here, and get the service done at the same time.
Google Slime says, you're so awesome, I subscribed.
G'day, Google Slime.
And Rasha Uncle.
Rasha Uncle from Germany, greetings.
Darren Burke said, cost of living in Australia is 75% more than in South Africa, not including property rental, which is 85% more. Yeah,
the cost of living in Australia is really high at the moment. It's a shame in a way. The banks and the government have let things get out of control over here. You know, housing costs have got out of control, and it's the same old story, I think, in many parts of the world. Yeah, it's got out of control. I mean, they do say now that Australia is one of the most expensive countries in the world to live, and I think for young kids, it's quite hard. But I know everyone's having the same problems in other parts of the world.
Jay Mary says, you two should do a cooking couple video just one time, one with the meat and the other the veggies. That would be fun.
Possibly one day, Jay Mary, we will. You know, something like, can't think of any of this sort of old TV chefs that used to be on the, you know, Fanny Craddock and her husband, or one of these sort of combo things would be fun one day.
Gina Dela Cruz, thumbs up first time here.
Hey Gina. How are you? So yeah, so lots of plans next year. Lots of cool things to see. A lot more videos to do. If Milan's still in, maybe I should go and sort of do some crazy sort of, I don't know, hunting and gathering in the wilderness. Show people how to tan the hide of an animal. Which we've done before when we used to do our own sort of tanning, Milan. So, but you know, you can't do everything, and we're happy doing what we do. Now, I do know, by the way, I really appreciate your support. If you watch the vlogging videos and comment on them, it's great, because I know that we take a lot less views on those sort of videos than we would do if we were just to cook. You know, chocolate cupcakes and things on the channel, or you know, interesting foods that maybe inspire people to watch. So I do really appreciate it, and we will be making these. I will get better and better at making this sort of video and this sort of content. Lady G, yes. Michelle is very lucky.
Of course I'm very lucky.
We're both very lucky. We've been together for a long time, get on really well.
So earlier on, Milan was saying, on November the 16th is Larry Opera production of The Superfly by Richard Wagner, 5 hours length. Any suggestions for packing a lunch? There are 2 30-minute intermissions.
Will they let you actually take a lunch? I wonder, Milan. A lot of these venues now don't want you to take your own food, and I don't know if that's the case in where is it you're having that? Is it in a theatre? Okay. Well, I don't know what the rules will be in Milan, but I suspect if it was in Australia, they wouldn't let you to probably be patting you down and stopping you from taking stuff in.
We went to that watch something in it. It was a 15-minute interval. We could pop out for coffee, but the line was so long. Yeah, we
went to watch a good friend of ours. If you saw the Woman in the Wilderness, when we had Miriam Lancewood. She actually came to visit us here in Melbourne for a day or two. We went to watch her speak, and halfway through the presentation, they said, "Oh, we've got a 15-minute interval if you'd like to go out and get coffee and cakes and things and come back in." When we went outside, there was just one barista serving coffee, a little cart, just one person serving coffee, and there was 1,200 people in the audience. So when we went out, the queue was about sort of 100 people long. There was no way you were going to get a coffee or something. In that instance, it would have been good to take a packed lunch. I'd probably take some wraps, Milan. Nice, easy food to handle, not too noisy. If you decide to eat when or have a little nibble, you know, like some nice chicken wraps would be good.
So Amy's saying the petroleum price is going up and up every day.
Petroleum prices. When I left Melbourne, when we set off on the first part of this journey, our gas prices were $1.20 something per litre. That's Australian dollars for regular gas, and then it very quickly, as you drove out onto the more remote parts of Australia, it went up to about 180, which we thought, okay, so 125 to 180 was a huge drop. Now we've come back into Melbourne. It's 160 every day of the week. So yes, I really don't understand why the people of Australia are not up in arms about it, because it's gone up to 30 to 40%.
Cynthia says, "Got to run now. Love the vlogs. Love you both."
Yeah, love to you, Cynthia. Take care.
And Wendy says, "I enjoy the vlogs. I've been busy lately, so when I have downtime, I can go back and watch."
It's Wendy Johnson, is it?
Wendy Johnson.
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, I think what we'll probably do is produce more and more vlogs, and hopefully they'll get better and better as we go along. You know, Jane Mary, Titley, I'm not sure. Titley, Nahan and I did a collaboration actually, it's probably closer to 4 years ago, to be honest, because we've been traveling 4 years, Jane Mary. Why does Lady G keep deleting messages? Okay, so Titley got very disheartened with the whole sort of YouTube thing for some reason. I'm not sure why, because she was a lot of fun, loved her stuff, and then she came back very briefly, and I thought, oh great, Titley's back, and now she stopped again. So I haven't been to the UK, so if we ever get over there, maybe we can meet up with her and find out what's going on. But yeah, Titley's heaps of fun.
Is doing her.
She did actually, Michelle's just reminded me, she actually started her own little business, and I think it's taken up a lot of her time. If you remember, Titley also had a really fun gardening channel, and I think her passion really lay with her gardening. So I think she's now got a bit of a thing going on there, and she enjoys it. So hopefully that answers your question. So the sun's coming out a little bit, weather's picking up. Hopefully the second half of the afternoon will be a little bit nicer. We can go out for a nice long walk, and hopefully the Melbourne Cup, the weather will pick up for everybody at the Melbourne Cup. So yeah, Titley did have about 4 channels. She possibly spread herself a little bit thin with so many channels, but it's hard. In the old days, everyone used to say, oh no, if you want to do start baking bread, start a new channel. If you want to do this, start a new channel. And at one time we were thinking of always doing new channels for the travel, and new channels for the food, and new channels for this. But actually I think it's sometimes better just to keep it on one channel, because the workload becomes really hard. I think for Titley, running 4 channels would have been a lot of work. So any questions? Anybody else in? Has anybody I haven't said hello to that dropped in? Just say hello again, and I'll make sure I say hello to you.
Dan is just saying YouTube upset a lot of content creators with their new algorithm in 2016, so a lot of people are really
Yeah, Darren, YouTube have messed up fairly big time with it. Whatever, you know, we always use this buzzword, their algorithms. I mean, basically, they've just stuffed up a lot. It's hard. I think a lot of people out there now, and I've always been a big supporter of YouTube as a company, but I do think that it's become almost as if, you know, if a new platform came along, a lot of people would jump ship, because I think they're all a bit tired of the fact that you can have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and you still can't get views. And it's not really that you I don't want to moan about it, because it doesn't bother me all the time. But, you know, if you could reach the audience that had subscribed to you, I mean, YouTube, I think the worst thing they ever did was to introduce this sort of bell button. You know, it's like if you subscribe to Time magazine and then have to ring them up every month to make sure they send it. You know, the concept of subscribing means I want to be informed when something comes up, and then YouTube decided that wasn't good enough. So there's many channels like ours that had, you know, 100, 150,000 subscribers, and then they introduced the bell, so 150,000 people don't get notification of when you put up a video. It happens, you know. That we can complain about it. At one time, I would write to the YouTube people that I knew and sort of say this, that, and the other, and then you'd notice they ignored absolutely everything. And actually, I met them at an event we went to, and they explained, to be honest, they have no say. Even the people that are programming this stuff, they have no real say. So even if you had like the head of the department who was responsible for all comments on YouTube, and you said to them, you know, this is broken, we literally couldn't fix it, because they don't have access to those facilities. So it's just, it is crazy.
Nigel says, cheers everyone, great live chat.
Cheers, Nigel. Yeah, we do have an awesome community. Actually, the people that come to the channel, Steve's Kitchen, I've always found we have really, really good people. We don't have a lot of the issues some channels have. I don't know why. I just think we have really nice viewers. Paul, if you check out my Vietnamese food tour in Hanoi, might give you some ideas. You said, what's he saying there, Steve?
I think his son is going to open a restaurant and he wants to know maybe something different.
It is hard. I mean, actually, there is a few. I can make some comparisons to what I do know from Cambodia. There's quite a big demand. Now, you're never going to be able to compete with the fantastic Vietnamese food out there, but there is a great demand for burger joints and steak joints and the likes. There's also a huge demand for people who want vegetarian food in those sort of countries. So sometimes look for the niche markets, Paul. It's kind of understanding that you can't really, I mean, I've seen people go to places like Vietnam, Thailand, and as Western chefs, and they try to fuse the idea of, you know, Vietnamese food with European or American food. But in all honesty, when people are traveling, they're there to eat authentic Vietnamese food. But now and again, the expat communities that are in those sort of places want to have either a touch of home or something a little bit different. So if I were looking to do anything at all, I would probably look at a market that firstly interests me. So there's no point doing a steak job if you're not fascinated by it. And that would mean also getting involved. I met a guy in Phnom Penh who was bringing his organic beef in from Australia and had a really great steakhouse. So that sort of thing. Or if you're into it, don't do a vegetarian restaurant if it doesn't, if he's not passionate about it, because there's no point. Just go for things that you're passionate about. But I tell you what, if you were in Vietnam, if you were in, I don't know, depends on the cities. It's got to be some of the bigger cities. But if you provide stuff for the expat communities that are there, the stuff that they maybe miss from home, you'll not only attract a ready built sort of clientele, but you'll also possibly attract Vietnamese people that want to try food from different cultures. So,
you said, Steve can't please everybody, so just please yourself. I'll still watch your vlogs.
Thank you. Well, that's what I was thinking. I think when we first set off, if you look at videos when we were traveling around in Thailand, we were super excited by it all, and we were putting up videos around Thailand. And I think after a few months of traveling, we realized that people weren't watching. You know, we'd gone from doing our regular cooking style show and people weren't watching. So I kind of shied away from it, and maybe even lost some of the enthusiasm to share that sort of stuff on the channel. But I think what we need to do now, I don't know, you can tell me, but is to rekindle that enjoyment of sharing the traveling that we're doing and just allow the audience to evolve accordingly. So, you know, some of you will love to watch it, and when we get a chance to cook and share food from different parts of the world, we will do so. Let's see. There's no plans. We've been traveling for 4 years now, almost, beginning of next year, 4 years. It's amazing. I was talking to my son here, lives in Melbourne, one of my boys, and he said, can't believe that it's been 4 years since we lived in Melbourne. And it does seem, I don't know where the time has flown by.
Jay Mary's got to go.
Jay Mary, take care.
Craig L. Young said that's because you make good food. Craig said that. Lady G said, what happens sometimes the belt, it hasn't been put on ring, or sometimes it doesn't ring to the notification.
Yeah, and even that, Lady G, the bell, the notification thing on YouTube, it doesn't work. I had a friend of mine asked me to add the bell to his channel to get notified of when he was doing stuff, and I still wasn't getting notified. So I don't know. It's tricky. YouTube is what it is. I still love it. I think we'll continue to do it for as long as we can, and hopefully they'll sort their issues out one day, but I'm sure everybody will always be grumbling about it. You're looking for reptile relocation just to save the reptiles. Well, that's a good thing, Paul. I mean, that's wherever you go, whatever you do things you're passionate about. It's important. Yeah, Lisa Trio is saying just use the subscription page. I mean, that works until you get so many, you subscribe to so many different things. I mean, I sometimes find a channel that I subscribed to, 2 or 3 years ago, and I go to their thing and realize they've been putting up videos once a week, every week for 2 years, and I've seen nothing of their stuff, which is quite nice because then you can catch up and have a little binge watch of what they've been up to. But so the other thing is you can follow us on Facebook. That's always it. But the Facebook link, if anyone's not following us on Facebook, we're trying to build up the Facebook. Also, I never used to do a lot of Facebook. I probably only started doing it just after we started traveling. So I will try to post stuff. I think one thing that Facebook has above and beyond YouTube is its notifications a little more functional. And I think that's probably down to the fact that Facebook has always been that sort of comment reply thing, whereas YouTube started up as a sort of a video-based subscription service, and they tried to break into the Facebook world by bringing out the Google Plus, which at the time seemed like a great idea, but pretty much failed. And now they're trying to do all sorts of little things to take over that what Facebook have. But if you follow us on Facebook, or you go to Steve's Kitchen Facebook page and hit the follow button, is it? Or like that page button and follow, then you'll get notified as well.
Amy said, okay, the rain stopped, so bye.
Yeah, Amy, I'm going to head off as well. The rain has stopped. I'm going to probably end this now. We've probably been on for an hour and 20 minutes, so I was only going to pop on and say hello. So, me, I love life, good pension, being a vet. I'm looking for my kids something to make. Trying to get away from the Western life. Well, that's good, Paul. I mean, getting away from the Western life, but I mean, there's great things in both cultures. There's a lot of things that I love when I go to the US, and I think it's tricky. I think sometimes when what's the old saying, can't see the wood for the trees, sometimes it's hard. It's hard, but I think actually that's why Michelle and I travel so much, is because we're always, we always have traveled, and it's hard for us to stop. But yeah, I wish you luck, mate. Keep in touch. Let us know how that goes for you, by the way. Follow me, laddie. All right, laddie. Yeah. Darren, you get on and follow me on Facebook. I'm terrible on Facebook. I never really used Facebook as a personal sort of thing. So, yeah, it was a little bit, I'm not a technophobe. I actually have a lot of experience with computers and electronics. I'm pretty handy with electronics, but I always wary of Facebook sharing all your information and things. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up. We have got some more travel videos coming up this weekend. I'm getting to oh, the little dogs are going. The little dogs are going. Shall we get Bean to say goodbye? Come here, Bean. Right. So from me and this little fella, he hasn't got a clue what's going on. So for me and this little fella in Melbourne, he is so cute. Such a cutie. Love you all. Take care, and we'll do this again in maybe, well, when things work. I don't know when. We'll do it when we can. Be good. He is adorable, Wendy. We've got a few little chihuahuas around today, and this fella I think is my favourite. He doesn't know what's going on. All right. Share the love. Share the video. Comment. Be good, and we'll see you very shortly. Take care.